back to the movie toy line where your favorite characters are ruined and defiled by Hollywood's insistence on recreating and redesigning that which was already perfect. Except in rare occasion where they actually do try to get it right. Because sometimes someone actually did want a character to look like the original. That said, Voyager class Shockwave from Dark of the Moon. Behold the literal poster child of the third Transformers movie, because they plastered him all over everything. So as you can see in this mode, very much a Cybertronian tank. There is not a bit of robot in disguise to be had here. He's just a death machine out to make death. So yeah, you get this massive purple tank with a massive cannon hanging off of one side. So yes, as said, molded mostly in purple, but a few shades of gray mixed in. One thing you will notice about the color scheme of the toy itself, there's not a whole lot of paint going on. There's a few sections that are seemingly paint covered, but for the most part, the paint is kept to little details here and there, and the plastic color is doing most of the talking. This is, you could enjoy this or could not. It's a preference thing. I kind of happen to like when toys do that. When the plastic is predominantly the color scheme, it means less risk of chipping and scratching and all that would ruin the look of the figure. Though it'd be hard to notice a scratch on this guy. He is massively loaded with details all the way around. It's one advantage to some of the movie toy lines where parts that are obviously hollowed out actually kind of blend in. that really like broken up look that some movie aesthetic has kind of plays into some things, especially the Cybertronian designs like this. As tanks go, he's pretty freaking menacing. You can have these giant treads coming up here and along the back. You also still have wheels up front. I'm not sure why at that point, but hey, he has them if he needs them. Massive claws up here, which looks like he could just spear through anything that, you know, if he can't roll it over, he's going to pierce straight through it. And yeah, that's if he didn't just blast them first. So yeah, this is Shockwave, so the giant cannon has to be a big focal point. It did get some paint, as well as the paint on the barrel itself. There is this little black Decepticon emblem at the top of the barrel, just so you know, yes, he is absolutely loyal to Megatron. For once. Well, in the cartoon he was too, but hey, that's not what most people remember Shockwave for. It's a really cool cannon design, though. It actually kind of works, and I guess that's just the thing. You're going to become a tank if you used to transform into a gun. That's just how it goes. He also has this massive blade hanging off of it, which has a few places to peg in, but this seems to be the primary point of attachment. You have little spots where there are peg holes that will hold it in place, but nothing that seems to work nearly as well as that spot up here. Speaking of, if you want a little bit more armament, he does have one of those C-clip bars hidden right there. Though for a lot of attachments, you're probably going to have to remove this big hose. Hose being a rubberized plastic, the kind I worry of aging at some point, because this stuff can dry up and eventually erode away. This is what happened to classic Shockwaves. But thicker pieces like this don't seem to be as susceptible, and I haven't heard of any of them failing yet, and this toy's got some age on it now. I know I'm still waiting for the treads on my Demolisher to crumble. Of course, hopefully. I don't have many years left on that prediction. Please come true so I don't look like an idiot. So yeah, I like the vehicle. It's very much alien, very much ferocious, and very much a movie Shockwave. Let's get this guy transformed and we'll see just how much of Shockwave got left behind. Now, I will warn, it's been a while since I transformed this guy, so it's going to be one of those ugly ones where I just kind of move things around until it eventually looks the way it is supposed to. My apologies for people who are hoping for a proper transformation demonstration out of this. It does have a lot going on, though. A lot of pegs and tabs holding him together, so if I can get all of this disconnected, we get the legs flipped out here, like so. All of this section is going to have to come up because his head is right here. So it's kind of interesting, and something I should have pointed out in the fact that his robot mode head actually was hiding as like the front of the tank mode, which I would assume makes designing him a little bit more difficult, but at the same time, it's actually kind of a clever touch. It's kind of cool. So, let's get this guy out. That's his kneecap. This is going to be his foot. We can get all of this attached the way it's supposed to go. Like so. There we go. We do the same thing on the other side. Unclip that. That goes down. This folds out for his heel, and then fold the kneecap up like so. And that's the lower half of him pretty much done. Now the top half. Oh boy. Okay. All this is going to have to go outward like so. All that folds in to create that. That all locks together to create his chest. Clip all of this down in so it's nice and solid. Flip out the hand. And down we go like here. Get all of this situated like so. Optional hand here, but we won't be using it because, hey, Shockwave. And now this whole rear section, that's got to get flipped forward. This is to fold down to reveal the face. Head rotates around, and all this folds up like so. Find the little tab and the part where it clips into the chest. Holding like so. Make sure all that connects to the back the way it's supposed to. And then we're going to go ahead and connect that pipe right there to the top of his shoulder. And that is going to pretty much finish us off. I'll check him before we continue on, but that, for the most part, is our Shockwave. Looking equally ferocious in his robot mode as he did in his tank mode. This is strange to me. Like, of all the, like, Starscreams and Ironhides and Ratchets and all of them that have such classic designs that went completely in a different direction in the movies, Shockwave is somehow iconic enough and somehow special enough he gets to actually look like a Shockwave, you know? It's kind of strange, but hey, it's a fan favorite. That doesn't excuse why Starscream changed, but hey, whatever. Okay, so one quick double check later, I think we are ready to move on and officially look at this guy in close-up detail. That is scary. That is just straight up scary. Shockwave, definitely not kidding around, as, well, no Shockwave ever really is. But definitely a ferocious design, and it's the word for this toy. He just looks straight up mean. I'm also happy to see that he has a light piping head with a very, very appropriate shade of red, which does allow that eye to look very piercing and glowing, even in dim light. And that's a very key thing to light piping, especially on someone who's known for an eye that lights up. I'm sure someone who loves his G1 wants that light to be yellow, but hey, I think it works perfectly good as red here in this redesign. Now, I often describe movie Transformers as skeletons with vehicle shrapnel slapped on top of them. I didn't expect the designs to be literal for some of those cases. Shockwave has this very, very scary appearance to him, this big rib cage armor chest, which is very unlike anything he had. And keep in mind, this could have been something akin to his G1 chest. Like, there's really nothing stopping that panel from just having some of the more classic designs to it. But yet, here it stands, and it's definitely just like an intimidating look. He almost has this like very scary, like otherworldly barbarian thing going on, which is not quite in Shockwave's character, but hey, it's kind of working here. All the painted details are coming to the forefront here. If it's got paint, then it made itself known in robot mode. A little bit of purple added to the shoulders, give him a little bit of color. Those treads becoming the chest details. I like the look of treads becoming torso details. I don't know why. It just has this nice, solid appearance to it. You know, or this, like, I don't know. It just works for me. More in the midsection for his purple coloring, and then this kind of metallic lavender for the kneecaps, and now we can see even more of the details painted in for the treads on the legs. Everything that got paint is pretty much the front of the toy now, and it looks really, really freaking good. And you've got so much detail going on in this mode as well. All of it very sharp and very much alien, which is kind of this, like, it's kind of this really solid and perfect blend of all the aesthetics that the movie toys kind of go for. And this is where Cybertronian designs help this kind of aesthetic, because you can kind of get away with just about anything. Feature-wise, now we do have the big pipe going into his cannon, because it's Shockwave, you have to have that. It does restrict his arm motion though, so odds are you're going to ditch that at some point. He has to bend his elbow in order to get it up, which unfortunately he does have the bicep curler elbows going on, no wrist articulation to compensate. But it does allow you to get his cannon up with a hose in its proper location. And it does hinge here. So not only do you have a little bit of extra give in the hose, you also have this little added touch where it completely detaches. And yeah, and I'll go ahead and save a little bit of time by detaching at this point, and just go ahead and show you. If you flip it up, it connects to his other arm just fine. So if you want, you could have Shockwave as a lefty. It doesn't fit as well, but it can fit if you want it to fit. And hey, it also, I should be able to get it into his hand too, so you can also make a giant hand weapon out of it. Gives you some play option, and hey, that does mean his right arm does have a full-fledged hand if you want it to have a hand. So that works pretty good. That's pretty good. I like that quite a bit. I wish he was completely ambidextrous, because that would have been really cool, and that would have also let you customize the tank a little bit, but the peg hole here just isn't in the right spot. But that does mean we can go ahead and attach the arm blade, so he has weaponry mounted to both arms, because hey, he needs more weaponry as a tank. Oh, speaking of, as long as this is unplugged, I can also show you his other gimmick. I could have shown it to you in vehicle mode, and that would have worked just fine, except that hose is in the way for the entirety of it. So if we have the hose out of the way, we can put this little tab forward, and all of these are going to flip forward to create two more guns. And here's the cool thing, unlike a lot of those flip forward weapons they did in Dark of the Moon, this one locks in place, which gives his cannon arm two more barrels flipped out, as if he needed to look meaner. Absolutely awesome. You even have extra detailing up here you can imagine as other weapons of sorts. So he has a lot of armament going on at this point. I do love that it clips in. God, every toy in that line needed that little clip. Oh well. So yeah, most people are going to leave that hose unplugged. There's other places, there's other mounting points, little holes everywhere on him where you can go ahead and leave it, just in case you actually want to prefer the articulation. Speaking of, head rotates all the way around. Ball joints in the shoulders, no. We have universal joints. And we also have a little bit of torso movement if you so are inclined to use it. As I said, it is a bicep curler elbow, so it has 90 degrees of bend but no wrist articulation to compensate. So it's a little bit annoying. Nothing at the waist due to all the transformation. You do have hips that are also universal with some nice detenting to them. There's an age when that's getting a little bit rare this time. Full thigh swivel. Full bend at the knees. Look at that knee bend. Look at that knee bend. Thank you, transformation. Man, look at high shot with the knee there. So, and at the foot, no. It's angled inward, so he stands at a more natural pose, but no hinges or nothing that's really going to help you in actual articulation. But hey, he doesn't do too bad for a movie toy. He's got enough going on. And thanks to his accessory count, and thanks to some of his extra little features like C-clip joints and such, he gets pretty cool looking in plenty of his poses. Oh, come on. Just, yeah. Go ahead and clip that in just so it doesn't hang there. I can't leave the last shot of the review with that stupid little pipe just hanging there limply. It's just Doesn't look Shockwave. So that is Dark of the Moon Shockwave. This is one of the few times where I think the aesthetic for the movies actually kind of works for the character. He is a frightening appearance. Just absolutely terrifying look for a Decepticon between the skeletal details, all the sharp angles, and the tank mode and robot mode both just carry this big level of intimidation that I think is really, really good for, well, any villain, really. I do like seeing so many of the classic design choices, including the option of going handless. That's a nice little feature. And he does have a nice little out-of-the-way gimmick, though it's a big cannon barrel, so hey, how out of the way can it be? That does add to the toy rather than detract. So all that going pretty well. This is up there as one of the better movie toys, and one of the few reimaginings of Shockwave that I could actually get behind if he didn't just, growl through the whole movie.